Welcome to LeggLife Podcast. My name is Adam.
My name is Sherry.
Sherry Beth, what episode is this?
106.
First episode in the year 2024 of our Lord.
Yeah.
I think it should be our Lord. I don't know. I don't say
it's the year of our Lord.
That's what it is. The year of our Lord 2024.
Correct.
That's the way I'm going to address. That's the way I'm going to write all my checks.
I think you shouldn't.
All of the checks that I still write.
I couldn't even tell you where my checkbook is.
It exists somewhere.
Somewhere.
No clue where.
All right.
So here's what we're talking about today.
Checks.
Not checks. Yeah. Welcome to the check episode. Antiquated finance.
Right.
Here on the LeggLife Podcast. What we're talking about today is going to be very different. We've never done a podcast like this.
Right.
And I'm going to be honest with you. This may totally flop.
Well, we've done pieces of this.
Yes.
And we're going to try to combine them. And so we're going to see how it goes.
So the LeggLife Podcast, and we've said this a lot on here, it started when we just realized we had all of these conversations just in our living room between us with friends. And we thought, gosh, I wish we would have recorded that. And that would have been a podcast.
Right.
It's just sort of a glimpse into the conversations that we have in our home.
Yeah.
And this conversation we're having today is one that we are having currently in our home. And so we thought, what if we recorded this?
Give people a glimpse into what our marriage looks like.
Yeah, honestly, kind of. So the month of January that we're in now is an absolutely crazy month for us.
Weirdly so.
Weirdly, like, it normally is not like this.
It's not normally like this, right? Especially, and it's a little bit ironic because one of the things that we talked about wanting to do is not be so busy.
And then, holy cow, January punches us right in the face balls.
You were going to say something else.
I was going to say something else, and I went with face balls. And so, here's what we decided to do.
Yeah.
This is just kind of part of our routine, is to sit down with our calendars, to sit down with like what's coming up and plan our lives to make sure that like the important things get on the calendar. Because if you guys are like us, we can have really good intentions to do good things, but if it's not on the calendar, like if we don't actually carve out intentional space for it, it will not happen.
Right.
And so
I'll forget, or something will come up, or
we fill it with something else.
Yep. If it's not like a real priority.
And so what we're doing in this podcast is we are literally going through our calendar and planning and giving you guys a glimpse into how we sit down with each other and like carve out space for each other, for the things that matter, for life, all of that. Again, I don't know how this is going to turn out.
Right. So we have talked before about travel.
Yep.
And work travel and that kind of stuff. And then we've talked before about how we communicate, especially kind of when we're traveling.
Yep.
This podcast, we're going to sort of combine those
a little bit
and kind of show realistically what that looks like. Because as you will see in just a minute, our calendar this year or this month is crazy. And there's going to be a bunch of time that we're not together. So we're going to talk a little bit about what our relationship looks like when we're both traveling. And
then also, here's what I want you guys to imagine. We're all hanging out in our living room, right? We're all there. You guys are just sitting on the couch. You guys are just hanging out in some of the chairs. We're just kind of all together. And Sherry and I are just kind of planning our month. We've got our phones out. We've got our calendars. We're ready to go. And you are getting a glimpse into how we approach a month of crazy.
Yep.
So I'm first going to start by walking you through what our month looks like from a travel and being just kind of away perspective.
Yes. And so we each have calendars in our phone, and we have obviously trips that we have together in our phone. We have work trips that we're doing separately in our phone, and what days will kind of look like.
Yeah. And then life stuff that we need to still calendar.
Yeah.
And so that's what we're going to do today. We're going to build our January with you guys. So here's what it looks like. We are currently, as we are recording this, it is New Year's Day, January 1st.
Yes.
So we both had today off, and we cleaned the house totally. And we'll actually talk about why we did that today a little bit later. We have tomorrow the 2nd and the 3rd here in Anchorage. Both of us are working full days.
Yep.
And then on Thursday the 4th, we fly out for vacation.
Early morning.
Early morning. And then we are gone from the 4th. We begin our journey home the 14th, but we don't actually get home until the 15th. So we're going to be on a cruise, a Mexico cruise together during that time. So from the 4th to basically the 15th. And we get home the morning of the 15th. And then here's where it gets crazy.
I leave the afternoon of the 15th.
Yep, you're going on a business trip, a work trip.
Work. Yep.
And you're gone the 15th through the 18th.
Yes.
You come home in the evening of the 18th. Mm-hmm. But in the evening of the 18th, I won't be able to pick you up because I'll be out of town teaching a class
right.
On the evening of the 18th.
Yes.
I'll be back home late that night, so we'll get to see each other, which will be great. And then the next day, the 19th and 20th, I am teaching a different class.
Yep.
So we won't be together a ton.
Right.
And then the 21st...
That second class is in town, though.
It's in Anchorage, yep, so I'll be home in the evenings, which is great. And then the next day, the 21st, I fly to Juneau.
Yep.
I'm in Juneau the 21st, 22nd, 23rd, and 24th. Fly home the 24th. I am home the 25th and 26th, which is a Thursday, Friday. I fly to Fairbanks the 27th. Fly home the 28th. And then we have 3 days left in the month.
Yep.
So from January 4th until, my gosh, what is it? Almost January 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th. Almost all that time, one of us is gone.
Yes.
One or
and
both.
So when I was looking at my calendar, I use the iCal. And it just kind of puts like a dot if there's something in your calendar.
Yep.
Like something on that day. And the only days that don't have a dot in all of January are the 2nd, I forget. I feel
like it was like the 29th and 30th or something like that.
31st or something like that. Like there's literally 3 days in all of January that doesn't have something
planned or on there.
Planned or on that day, yeah.
So what we do, because we do this, like this is part of our normal routine, when we are going into a season like we're going into, there's a couple things that we really try to be intentional about. We try to say, okay, where are the gaps then for each other? Like, where's our time? Also, where's time for friends? Like, what are other things that we have to do to get on the calendar? That kind of stuff. Because, like I said earlier, if we're not intentional about calendaring stuff, it'll just be forever.
Right.
And so, obviously, the cruise, we're very fortunate that we get to spend like 10 days together on vacation.
Yes.
That's an amazing way to start.
It's a good start to the year.
It's a good start to the year. But here's the thing. And I've seen this be an issue, and we've worked hard to not let it be an issue for us, is you go on a big trip, but it's easy when you get home because we get so busy to like let the drifting apart start.
Right.
And so just because we get to spend a lot of time together the first half of the month, we want to be intentional still, even the second half of the month when we're busy. Where's our time? How are we staying connected? All of that sort of stuff.
Exactly.
So let's start talking, because as soon as we get home, you go on a work trip.
Right.
As soon as you get home, I go on a work trip.
Right.
How do we stay connected? What does staying connected look like for you and I when we're traveling and apart?
For us, kind of in general, we text all day, every day. We're kind of constantly texting each other all day. Phone calls. When we're apart, we try to FaceTime at least once a day so we can like see each other's face.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it's just kind of a constant communication kind of thing. And, obviously it's not constant because we are working. There's things that we have to put our attention to, but when we have a minute, we do try to stay in contact with each other.
Yeah, especially if one of us is out of town and away. Definitely try to be intentional about seeing each other's face, FaceTime, Marco Polo.
Yep.
Just that kind of stuff. So regular communication, how was your day? What'd you do? That sort of stuff.
Yep.
Not like, okay, have a good trip. See you in 5 days.
Okay, bye.
Okay, bye. Good luck. Godspeed.
Right.
And so that's what we try to do when we're traveling.
Now, I do think that we are kind of fortunate in that our relationship started as friends and long distance friends, where 100% of our communication was not face to face. So we kind of have that baseline. We had 7 years of that, so we have that baseline of this is how to communicate with each other, because that's the only way we had for 7 years. So we are really good at, I think, communicating in general, but specifically when we're not together.
I completely agree.
Yeah.
I think that starting the way that we did has really helped us in all of this.
Yeah.
So when we look at the rest of our calendar, we really have no gaps until, gosh, I get back from Juneau on the night of the 24th. Here's the thing. So then we have Thursday night, the night of the 25th, free. Mm-hmm. The night of the 26th, we're actually getting together for dinner with our friends Kim and Desi.
Yep. So
we have space carved out for friends right in there, which is amazing. The 27th, I'm teaching a class, which is Saturday. That's the one that's up in Fairbanks. So when I'm looking at our calendar, one of the things that I see, Sherry, that's kind of a glaring miss is our no screens tech-free day.
Yes.
Now,
which is nearly impossible to do when we are traveling.
Well, that's what I was going to say. Even on the cruise, like so much of cruising now is use your phone to scan into something,
right.
Use that kind of stuff. So it doesn't really, I don't really feel like we could do a tech-free day on vacation, but it also feels like it isn't the same.
No, and I think one of the nice things about having a tech-free day when we're at home is that we're home and we have our books and we can cook and we can, there's things that we can do that don't involve technology, and it's hard to do that when you're not home.
So I have an idea.
Yeah.
I fly home from Fairbanks the morning of Sunday the 28th. I should be home by 10 a.m.
Okay.
We like to do full days. Like, we like to do as close to 24 hours without screens as possible.
Mm-hmm.
But I also think that the reality is, looking at our calendar, there is no 24-hour period that we could do that.
Right.
There's not. And so I think that it's better to do something than to be like, well, let's just wait till next month.
Right, because honestly, that's what we did in December. We didn't ever do one in December because we were just busy.
Yeah, so I'd like to get back on that. So here's my thought, is that Sunday the 28th, from the time I get home at probably 10:30,
mm-hmm.
just the rest of Sunday is screen-free.
I think that's a good idea.
Boom. It's going in the iCal.
Going in the calendar. I'm going to do it right now.
You know what's, and you guys, literally, we are doing this as we're talking to you. We both have our phones, and I am entering screen-free day on Sunday the 28th.
Me too.
Saved.
All
Okay.
right.
So January is going to be difficult for a couple of reasons. Because we're gone so much, when Sherry goes to Fairbanks, I'll be home by myself, and then I leave and she's home by herself, which kind of led to what we did today,
mm-hmm.
which was
cleaned our house.
We
top to bottom.
We did like a good cleaning.
Yep.
All of our laundry is done, like vacuumed, dusted, pledged. I mean, like really not just picked up, actually cleaned.
Yep.
And for a couple of reasons. One, we love coming home from vacation to a clean house.
Yep.
It just feels great. But then also, if we get it clean now, hopefully both of us get to enjoy a clean house
without having to clean it by ourselves.
Without having to clean it by ourselves while the other one is gone.
Yep.
So that was one of our intentions today, because I think that there are things going into a busy season that you can be proactive about. And cleaning's one of those. Mm-hmm. Another one of those, to be honest with you, when I look at our calendar, I think that we haven't really talked about is food.
Right.
Typically Sunday's like a meal prep day
mm-hmm.
for us.
We do shopping and then meal prep for the week.
Yeah, so here's my thought. Obviously, we don't need to meal prep while we're on a cruise. Princess Cruise Line, doing all the meal prep we need.
Thank you.
And then when we get home, you go to Fairbanks.
Immediately.
Which
means that you will be doing all of the shopping.
Which is actually, I normally do all the shopping.
You normally do all the shopping. Occasionally I join you, but not very often.
Yeah, and you don't like to join me.
Correct.
And so normally I do the shopping, I do the meal prep.
Mm-hmm.
So what I'm actually thinking is that while you're in on this work trip for those days, obviously you'll have all your food provided.
Mm-hmm.
And so I will do all of the shopping, and I'll do meal prep so that when you come home, you have like breakfasts and lunches and stuff for while I'm gone down to Juneau.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
That's very nice.
Well, and I genuinely enjoy doing that.
Right.
And so it's like, for me, looking at my calendar, I know then the 17th, probably, or the 16th or 17th, maybe the day during the 18th, I need to go grocery shopping. I need to do some meal prep so that Sherry has that stuff for the next week while I'm gone.
Yeah.
Woohoo.
Woohoo.
Now, there's another glaring miss on here. Yes, you could say that the entire cruise is like date night every night, but then the whole second half of the month, We have
no date night.
But there is one night that is open on our calendar. It is Thursday the 25th.
Okay.
What do you think about a Thursday night date night?
I was going to say, I have something on my calendar, but it's my Taltz injection. So.
Okay, so that's an injection day for you.
That's an injection day for me.
But by the nighttime, you normally feel better.
Yep.
So date night the 25th?
Let's do it.
And here's what we're going to do. We were talking about this earlier. You guys, we struggle sometimes with gift cards. We have lots of gift cards to restaurants and to different things like that. For whatever reason, we don't think to use them. And so Sherry had this idea, and I love this idea. What if we start planning date nights around gift cards that we have?
Like literally go through and figure out what gift cards we still have and need to use, and like, I don't know if we can like attach them to a calendar, or like this is the date we're going to use this card.
Well, that's what I was just going to say. So what about on the 25th, Matt and Nuska Brewing Company for dinner.
Yep.
Cold Stone for dessert.
Oh, perfect.
We have gift cards to both of those places. So on the 25th, date night, Matt and Nuska Brewing and Cold Stone. We are literally adding these into our calendars right now.
So if we get quiet, it's because we're typing.
Yep, we are typing. That's exactly what we're doing. So boom, date night's in there. Because it's one of those things that if we don't add date nights, it's easy just to kind of kick that can down the road and be like, we'll get to it next week. We'll get to it next month. We'll get to it whenever.
Yeah.
But that's how like drift happens in a relationship.
Right. And we do try to be intentional about date nights.
Yeah, it's one of the things that I think
And we had somebody say one time, you don't have any kids, every night is date night. And I don't think that's actually true, because I think that, yes, every night, for the most part, unless we're traveling, we are together. That doesn't mean that it's a date. That doesn't mean that, just because we are together doesn't mean that cooking dinner and cleaning the house is a date. Like that's, you know what I mean? And so I think that it's being intentional about quality time with each other and not just time with each other.
I think that's 100% agree. Yep. And
it doesn't have to be spending money. Like, these gift cards were given to us.
Yeah.
So we're going to spend somebody else's money.
So let's talk about another thing that we love doing. I think because you and I do spend a lot of time together.
Yes.
And fortunately, we really like each other.
We really like each other, and we have this, we always laugh because especially when we come back from like a vacation where we've spent all of our time together, you would think that we would just be like, ugh, I just need like alone time. Can you just go away? That's never the case. Like,
it's almost the opposite.
It's the opposite. Like when we go back to work, we're just like, I'm missing the other piece of me. Like I've had this thing attached to me for so long and now it's gone. And I'm like, what do I do with my life now?
Yeah. So it's like, I bet the day we go back to work after vacation, we text more than ever.
Oh, it's constant. Yeah.
It is constant. But looking at our calendar, so even thinking about kind of ways to be proactive, my guess is that we're going to get to the end of January, having spent the last almost 2 weeks mostly apart. And yes, we have a date night built in there. We have some time with friends, that kind of stuff built in there. But I think we're probably going to be like wanting more time with each other.
Some quality time.
Some quality time. Mm-hmm. So, but here's the problem is that we're kind of out of time in January.
Right.
So, as we get into February, hopefully, my hope is that January is our busiest month of the year. Because, our calendars really do start to quiet down in February, which is great. It just, everything happened to fall in January. Right. We have a few options because we have that very first weekend in February, which is like the second, or it's like Friday the 2nd, Saturday the 3rd, Sunday the 4th, open. We also have the like 16th, 17th, 18th, which is like right after Valentine's, the weekend after Valentine's Day, totally open.
Right.
So, as we're planning like trips or getaways or staycations, would we want to plan something there?
I think so, yes.
Would you want to do just like a dinner? Would you want to do just like a getaway? Would you want to do
maybe some kind of stay in town but not at home staycation sort of thing?
Okay. Hotel, that kind of thing? Getaway, Airbnb sort of thing?
Yeah.
Okay.
Feels a little more intentional.
Okay. I agree. And I think for us, Valentine's Day is So going out on Valentine's Day is not necessarily a huge priority to either of us.
No, in fact, I think our best Valentine's days have been home, where we just cook our own meal here. We usually do something fancier than we would normally.
Yeah, and that's what I'm kind of thinking. It's on a Wednesday this year. So maybe just, pick up something nice, whether it's a nice steak, king crab leg, something like that. Just nice meal at home.
I agree.
So a getaway, February, that first weekend in February.
Well, here's a little peek inside my brain.
Let's hear it.
I don't know. I'm waffling between those two weekends because that first weekend is coming right out of the crazy that has been January, and I don't know if I'm just gonna want to be home with you.
Yep.
Because really after my trip, when I get home on the 18th, I'm just home.
Yep.
But you're not.
Right.
And so I don't know if I'm just going to want to be home with you, or if that's the weekend to do it. Or if I'm going to want to try to, because how many other people are going to be trying to do something the weekend after Valentine's Day.
Yeah, maybe. A lot of people might do it the weekend before Valentine's Day.
Yeah, because it is right in the middle of the week this year.
Yeah, it's hard to say. I had not thought about what you were just talking about with things have been so crazy we may just want to be home.
And you might just want to be home.
I think you're right. I actually think let's do that first weekend in February just like a home weekend.
I like that idea.
Here's the other thing we need to remember. At no point in this calendar have we taken down our Christmas decorations.
Correct. That is true. Yes, our Christmas decorations are still up. In fact, part of me was like, should we just take them down today when we were cleaning our house? And I didn't want to. So we, and I didn't feel like putting that much effort into it. So we didn't, which means that for sure our Christmas decorations are staying up until February.
Yep.
I don't know.
So maybe we'll see how we feel that first weekend in February.
Right.
If we want to just hang out at home, if maybe that's Christmas decoration weekend. And then look at a getaway. Because we have on February 10th, we're doing bingo with friends, Sherry. I don't know if you have that on your calendar.
I do not.
February 10th, bingo with friends.
All right.
And then we have a visitor that we're very excited about.
Yes.
The following weekend.
So we couldn't go that weekend.
Why? Yes, we could. We can go that weekend. Abby's here the next weekend.
Oh, the 20... Oh, okay.
Yep. And so we have tickets to go see the Broadway musical 6 with her.
Got it.
We're going to do all sorts of fun. Alaska. It's going to be a great time.
It's going to be amazing.
So we kind of have that first weekend in February, nothing. The next weekend we have bingo with friends. Next weekend, nothing. And then Abby.
Okay, got it.
So it's going to be a blast.
It's going to be fun.
How are you feeling about January?
I'm a little bit stressed. I have also not traveled for work in...
17 years?
17 years?
Yeah.
18 years?
Yep.
And so that makes me a little bit nervous.
Mm-hmm.
Not what I'm traveling for, that I think that'll be fine, but the actual travel, I could literally count on one hand how many times I have traveled by myself.
Yeah, you're not a big travel by yourself fan. In fact, it was hilarious. We were talking earlier today. We're going to be making a travel, 2024 travel video over on our YouTube channel. It may have already come out by the time you hear this. I don't know when it's going up. But I asked her, I was like, are there any trips that you want to just go do this year? Like any travel that you want to do by yourself or take girlfriends? No. And that was the thing. Like her answer was so fast.
Absolutely not.
No, don't. For sure, no.
Mm-mm.
I was like, are you sure? But that's not something that you really enjoy or want to do.
No. Well, and part of it is because, and we figured this out when I was actually booking my work travel, I don't know how to do it. I don't...
That's not true.
You book all of our travel, and, I had to ask you for my, known traveler number. I don't even know where to find it.
Yeah.
That kind of stuff.
Sure.
I don't ever do it. So, and it stresses me out a little bit. It's not that I can't. It's just that it's anxiety-inducing for me.
You really like...
I'm a passenger princess.
I was just gonna say that. You 100% are a passenger princess. Like, you don't want to plan it. You really don't care a lot about the details. You
I will be in charge of the snacks.
Yeah, you trust me completely. You're just like, all right, where are we going? And I just like, here's my bag, carry it for me, and I'll like, let's go to the airplane.
Yes.
And so it's so funny.
Yeah.
But yeah, so you're feeling a little bit of anxiety around your work trip?
A little bit, yeah.
It's going to be great.
It'll be great, but I'm nervous about having to travel there, and the flight is literally an hour.
Yeah, it's an in-state trip, and so it's not long.
So it's not like I'm like having to switch planes to do the whole thing, but I'm just like, but how do I get from the airport to my hotel? I don't know. I'm gonna figure it out.
Uber. It's very simple.
Sure.
It's very simple. Sure, I can show you how to use the Uber app. God, it's so funny. Like watching you try to navigate this, I'm like, you've got this.
Oh man.
So funny.
Yeah.
I think when it comes to January, I am feeling. Here's what I'll say. It makes me really want to focus extra hard on our cruise on rest.
Yes, I agree with that.
Knowing how busy the second half of the month is going to be, that we basically come home and that exact same day you get on an airplane again.
Right. Now, granted, because I was just like, oh man, I'm gonna have to get home and do laundry and like change everything out. That's not true, because we will be coming from warm weather and I'm going to very not warm weather.
Yeah, and so
it's going to be a completely different wardrobe.
Yeah, you actually could pack that suitcase for your work trip before we leave.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, and like have it ready.
Nothing that I will be bringing to that work trip will I be wearing
in Mexico. No, not at all. And so, yeah, and so I think that's one of the things that we try to do, like looking ahead, saying, okay, the second half of the month is going to be really full. So on this cruise, we want to make sure that we come home and we feel rested. Because you guys know how some vacations, you come home and you need a vacation from your vacation. Like, right. If we come home exhausted, we will really be struggling the second half of the month.
Yeah. I will say, I feel a little bit better about this kind of travel than a lot of your other travel, because I feel like, for the most part, it's a day or two, and then you're home. And
on
then
my trips?
For a day or two, and then you're home.
Yeah.
A lot of your trips are pretty long, like
yeah.
week plus. And so I feel like usually when you're gone, like you're gone. And it's just like, I'm just ready for you to be home. But these, it's more exhausting, I think, because it's just bouncing around a lot.
It's more exhausting for me.
It's more exhausting for you, but I get to see you.
Yes, that's right.
Which I think will be good.
Yeah, that's exactly right. I think so too. So, you guys, there's our month. Did I miss anything? We've got date night. We've got our no screens day. We've got our time with our friends. We've got our home weekend where we can finally be home.
Yeah.
We've got a potential weekend for like a staycation getaway.
Mm-hmm. In February.
Right. We've got, I think, everything. All of our trips are on our calendar. I can look at my iCal and be like, all right, that's our month.
Yeah.
Feel all right?
I think so, yeah.
I think so too.
Yeah, I think it will be a lot, and I think in the midst of it, we're just going to be like, what happened? Like, how did this happen with everything hitting all at once?
It just happens that way sometimes.
I know, but it's also, I keep reminding myself, it's not all of January. All of January will be, like, we will be busy, but the first half of the month is vacation. And I keep reminding myself, like, the first half is going to be...
It's cruise, drinks, and buffets, baby.
Yep, in warm, sunny weather.
Even if it's not warm, sunny, it's not snow.
It's not 0 degrees in snow.
That's exactly right. It's a break from winter. There's light.
Yeah.
Praise the Lord. Yep. So you guys, that is how we plan.
Yeah, and that's fairly typical.
Yeah, what you just heard really is like what we do.
And bouncing ideas and being like, wait, but there's a hole here. We're missing something here.
Yeah, what is this? What do we have there? But also, like, what do we have tickets for? Do we have any events? Do we have any fundraisers? Do we have any, like, what work stuff do we have? What?
The other thing that we try to look at, and it's probably more in my calendar than yours, is birthdays. You guys, I'm horrible at this. Yeah.
I'm good with knowing when your birthday is.
I appreciate that.
Other than that, I really struggle.
I know. So I keep all of the birthdays in my calendar, which is also why it looks like I have something on every single day, because I do have birthdays layered throughout there. So even if we don't have something actually on that day, I have a little dot.
Well, and your
showing.
your calendar is like, what day do I have medication being delivered? What, and
Yes,
so
I have all of that. My delivery and my actual injection.
yeah, geez Louise.
So, yeah.
That's what we do, though.
That's what we do.
A lot of times this happens on Sunday evenings in the living room, just kind of looking at the upcoming week. What do we have? Where are the gaps? When can we have lunch together? When can, is there a day I can take you to work? Just looking at the opportunities, because I think, as we've probably said several times now, I just think in today's day and age with the busyness of life, you have to be intentional about staying connected, or else that slow drift apart starts.
And it's real easy to do, and we have found ourselves doing that.
Yep.
Especially when we are traveling for work and stuff, and by we I mean Adam, because again, I haven't traveled for work in probably 18 years. But when he does travel for work, and I'm working full time, and then I come home and, I'm making my own dinner, and it's, it's easy, especially when he's actually actively busy working.
Mm-hmm.
It's real easy to just be like, oh, I haven't talked to Adam all day long.
Yeah.
At all. And now I'm going to bed. And so we just try real hard not to let that happen.
It gets harder when we're in different time zones.
Yep.
That's when it's more difficult.
Especially when you're on East Coast, it's harder.
Yep. So fortunately, all of this trip is close, like same time zone, that kind of stuff. So that'll make it a lot easier. So there you go, guys.
There we go.
That is a look into our life, how we plan, how we prioritize, how we're intentional. So now I think we can start and go into this month of January knowing that even though it may feel busy, we know that there's time together coming, there's time with friends coming, there's the things are scheduled and on the calendar.
Yeah.
And there's a light at the end of the tunnel.
Yeah.
In February.
Yeah. In February. At the middle of February.
Yeah.
So what we want to know from you guys, and we did not discuss this.
No, I'm so concerned what you're going to say.
We want to know if you have any tips and tricks when you're busy traveling or away from your partner. Anything that you do to make sure you keep the connection.
It's so good.
Yeah, we just want to know that.
I think that's really good. I worked in the hotel industry for a long time. Mm-hmm. And I remember, and this has stood out to me, and it's probably one of the reasons that being intentional about staying connected when we're apart is important to me, because I remember how many people I would talk to that were like road warrior business people on the road 150, 200 plus days of the year.
Yeah.
And, they'd be at the front desk checking them in, talking about, how often they're on the road, how often they travel, and when was the last time they were home, married, kids, all that kind of stuff. And then, it's like, oh, I haven't talked to my wife, in several days or this week or whatever. And I'm like, oh my gosh.
Right.
That's
so sad.
It is so sad. And I mean, it's like some people may be able to make that work, but for us, that's just not what we want. And so then we have to fight against that. We have to be intentional about making sure that doesn't happen.
Well, and I think I'm going to speak for myself here. I'm assuming that you would say the same thing, but you are also my best friend, and so when something...
Missy would be my best friend. Right. You're close second.
All right, I'll take it. When I'm having a hard day, when I'm having a good day, when I'm whatever, you're the first person I want to tell.
I want to share stuff with,
and you're the first person I want to talk to when I wake up. You're the last person I want to talk to before I go to sleep. Just in general, even when you're home, that's how that works. I want to see you first thing in the morning. I want to see you before I go to sleep. And I want to tell you about my day. And so I think for me, it's kind of a habit. When something happens, I pick up my phone and I text you.
I think for me is a little bit different, only because I think of the type of work I do and the reason I travel sometimes.
Yeah.
Sometimes a lot of the stuff that we're doing or talking about while we travel is really hard and it's just really hard and heavy stuff.
Yeah.
And in some ways when I talk to you, what I love is I love a break. It's the reminder that there is love and safety and security at home. And you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I the last thing I want to do is tell you about my day because the stuff I talked about in my day, first of all, it wouldn't be fair to you for me to dump some of that stuff on you.
Right.
Also, the reality is that some of it's really traumatic, and it wouldn't be fair for me when you're home by yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And so in some ways, I want to talk to you about nothing, or I just want to hear how your day was.
Mm-hmm. But you still want to talk to me.
100%.
Yeah.
Completely. And Missy, but she's terrible on the phone.
She's not awesome on. She just purrs and drools.
Truly, truly terrible on the phone.
Yeah.
Oh my gosh. You guys, there's our January. That's how we plan. Was this an interesting podcast? I literally have no idea.
I don't know. I mean, I don't know. We're sorry. If you got really bored, we will not be offended if you just tuned right out.
But these are the conversations we have. And, well, it's our podcast, so sucks to suck. It's us. But I do want to know, like, just like Sherry said, do you have tips and tricks? How do you stay connected when you travel, when you're apart, that kind of stuff? Also, what do you think of the podcast? Was it helpful? Was it boring? I would love your thoughts because there's lots more life stuff that we do that we could bring you in on.
Yeah, I mean, well, and honestly, like Adam was saying in the beginning, like this podcast started because we were literally like just having conversations in our living room, and we were like, oh, we probably could record that. Like, that's an interesting topic.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, not everything that we talk about is interesting, for sure.
Nope.
But maybe people would like a glimpse into what our life really looks like. And this is just one of those things that we just have to talk about all the time.
Yeah. Or, we don't have to talk about it. We could just let life wing itself, but I think we would end up in a bad place.
Right. Yeah.
So, friends, we love you guys. Thanks for listening to our calendar preparing for the chaos ramble podcast where we talked about how terrible Missy is on the phone.
Well, she's very pretty, though.
She's laying in the hall right now, and all that I can see of her is her back hind legs. Like,
same.
Right? Like I look in the hallway, and all I see are just like these
little white feet.
These little white feet sticking out. All right, friends, we love you guys. We'll see you on the next LeggLife podcast. Bye. Bye.